Here at the Latimer Group, one of the main things we try to ensure that we're teaching within our workshops and within our coaching sessions is that we always want you to be authentically yourself. We may give you parameters and outlines on how to be able to communicate better, to be able to reach more people, but keeping your authentic self is always going to be the most important part. Now, with our authentic selves always in play, each one of us has a different communication style. And we each put out expectations on others based off of our own style. So when you're communicating with your team, often we put out those expectations that they will communicate with us in a similar way, which I'm sure each of us in different ways can think of a story right off the top of our heads when we were annoyed that somebody didn't communicate with us in the way we anticipated they would do. This brings us to this idea of never assuming. We never want you to assume that somebody understands the best way to communicate with you. And if you have a team that is communicating often and trying to reach goals and work collaboratively, our recommendation is that you create a communication best practice document. This document gives you a way in order to set parameters, but allow people to be authentically themselves. Think about it when you were a little kid and you went bowling. And often within those bowling alleys, they put gutter guards in there. And what those gutter guards do is it allows you to learn how to bowl without the fear that your ball is going to fall into the gutter. It gives you parameters, but gives you all of this leeway within the alley that allows you to find where's the best place to place your ball, to have it roll down the alley and hit the pins exactly where you want to put them. Again, without the fear you're going to fall into the gutter. Your best practice document is going to allow your team to have a fearless opportunity to communicate with each other without feeling like they're going to fall into those gutters. So we've outlined 4 different things we want you to consider with your best practices document. The first one is to outline those non-negotiables. What are the things that have to happen for everybody to have to do? With us all working in a virtual and hybrid format, we're not all in the same place at the same time, so we don't always know what each other is doing. And that's okay. But if you're gonna leave for lunch, should you put in a DM saying, I'm away from my computer for the next hour? Or if you have to run an errand, or if you have to end your day early, I will not be online for the rest of the day. Just set a clear expectation so a teammate doesn't reach out to you expecting a response, and then they don't get it and they can't find you. Now, within those non-negotiables, the best thing for you to do next is to set out a clear list of all of the communication tools that you have available to you. There are so many options out there now, and each company has their own tools that they have in place. List out each tool, and then within that tool, make sure that you're listing out how to best use that tool and what it's going to be used for. The Latimer Group uses Teams for direct messaging, and we are doing anything within there that is going to be immediate and needs immediate attention. Or if it's just a quick chat, hey, I need this from you, can you send it over to me? If it's going to be something that is more specific and it has a deadline, we put that into email so that people can structure that and save it for another time to refer to it before that deadline takes place. Just outlining those tools and what they're used for gives those gutter guards in place for you to be able to maneuver. The final thing we want you to do is set meeting expectations. What happens when a meeting takes place? Should it always take place in Teams or in your video conferencing tool, regardless of whether or not everyone's going to be in the office or if you have one person in a virtual setting? Are you always going to have a leader for that particular meeting? Do you always have to send out an agenda and expectations? What happens during the meeting? Should everybody come prepared? And what happens after the meeting is done? Will an email get sent out with notes, or is everyone expected to share the notes that they took into play or what they're going to be able to accomplish after the meeting takes place? That brief list of things for you to do, setting those non-negotiables, outlining the tools that you have available to you, making sure that you outline what they're used for, and then finally, what your meeting expectations are going to be, will be able to allow you to set the parameters and allow your team to still be authentic and themselves in their communication style.